I apologize for the small delay. We were having a meeting in the back so that all the candidates agreed to the rules this evening so that we can all have fun. With that being said, I'm so glad that you're here, and on behalf of the Katy Area Chamber of Commerce, welcome to tonight's Katy ISD School Board Candidate Forum. We are grateful to Katy High School for hosting us this evening. Tonight is about informed leadership and informed voters. School board trustees serve as the governance body responsible for setting direction, aligning resources, and holding the system accountable for student outcomes. Your presence here reflects your commitment to public education and the future of Katy ISD. Will you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? We'll face this way. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the Texas flag, for the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee,
Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. You may be seated. Please join me in welcoming tonight's moderator. That would be myself. Matthew, do you want to come up and say a few words?
That's funny.
Thank you, Jason, and welcome again to tonight's Katy ISD Candidates Forum. Help me welcome tonight's moderator, Jason Burdine. Jason is a recognized leader in Texas school board governance, former board president and trusted expert in government relations, board leadership, and strategic alignment. His work has supported the development of high-performing governance teams across the state. He is also the co-founder and creator of the Texas Trustee Institute, a 2-day intensive workshop designed to equip new school board trustees across Texas with the foundational knowledge and governance practices necessary for effective service. In addition, Jason is an authorized provider through the Texas Education Agency, training school boards and trustees in governance, leadership, and continuous improvement aligned to state standards. He is also the co-author of Navigating Your Journey as a School Board Member, a practical guide supporting trustees as they grow in their role and responsibility. Jason brings a unique blend of real-world governance experience, policy expertise, and leadership development to tonight's discussion. Help me bring back Jason Burdine.
Thank you, Matthew. Please come back up here real quick, Matthew. So Matthew is the CEO of the Katy Area Chamber, and I want to thank him for what all you do for the Katy Area Chamber, and thank you for helping, or actually putting this event on tonight. So we appreciate that. The community wins when we do this type of work, so we want to thank you. All right, moving right along. So good evening, and thank you again to the Katy Area Chamber and this community. In Texas, school boards do not manage districts, okay? They govern them. It's very important. That distinction matters. I'm going to say that again. School boards do not manage districts. They govern them, and that distinction matters. Governance is about clarity of vision, alignment of leadership, and accountability for results. Tonight is not just about what candidates believe. It's about how they will function as part of a governance team responsible for ensuring strong outcomes for every student in Katy ISD. Our goal tonight is to elevate this conversation beyond opinions and into discipline, alignment, and most importantly, student outcomes. So, before the forum this evening, all of these candidates, besides Caleb, agreed to the forum guidelines. And so I'm going to ask you, as an audience, to abide by these guidelines as well. Applause only after all candidates have responded. Okay, we're going to go position by position, or do we want to do literally all of them? Okay. We are going to give everyone the opportunity to respond respectfully, and when all of them have answered, we are going to clap together as a group. We have a lot of great questions here tonight. I want to get through as many as possible. So the less disruption, the easier that we're going to be able to move this evening along. and more, then you're going to be able to receive more as an informed voter. No interruption or disruptions. Candidates speak to their own positions, and they will maintain a respectful, student-centered environment. Caleb, are you good with that? Thank you, sir. All right. I'm going to start introductions this evening, starting with position number 3. In ballot order, we have Mr. Sean Hesterly. Will you raise your hand? Hold your applause. Sean, or you can stand up. Feel free. And then we have Ms. Cicely Taylor. Position 4, we have, is it Mr. James Davidson, or Jim Davidson, excuse me. All right. Then we have David Greene. And we have Tiffany, help me again, Auzenne. And then for position number 5, we have Caleb, Silverio, and is it Nathan Shipley? Who do we have at the end? And then Jesus. I'm going to get this right. You all may please applaud for these candidates. Thank you all for being here. You may take a seat. But we got to get better at that applause. Let's try that again. Let's applaud for these candidates. There we go. All right. Something that I agreed to before we started this evening is we're going to have fun. All right. So we're going to have a good time, and we're going to let you hear the voices of these candidates. So we're going to start off in ballot order. Position 3, we have Sean Hesterly. All right. And then we have, she's not here this evening, Ms. Hader Rosby. And then we have Cicely Taylor. All right. Position 4, we have Tiffany. Please help me, I'm so sorry. She said to say Tiffany A.A. There we go. We'll stick with that. Then we have David Greene, and then we have Jim Davidson in position 4. In position 5, we have Caleb Silverio, Nathan Shipley, and Jesus Nieto. We're going to start with position number 3. You have a 1-minute introduction, okay? We've got a timer. It's going to be right down here. Can everyone see that timer with the, okay? As it gets down to the end, it's going to flash red, and then at 1 minute, if you please respectfully stop. If not, I'm going to help you stop in a polite way. In a play. So, starting with position number 3, Sean, you have 1 minute and an opening introduction.
Hello everyone, my name is Sean Hesterly. I'm a candidate for position 3. I'm a unique candidate that I am one of the only members on here who's an active school teacher. I teach for Sci-Fair at this very moment. But I hadn't always taught at Sci-Fair. I'm a former employee of Katy ISD as well. Not just a former employee, I was also a para, a substitute, and a teacher. I have been on that side of the desk in many different positions. Not only that, I was a student. I went to May Creek High School, May Creek Junior High, Bear Creek Elementary. I have been in and around the student's desk as a student and as a teacher. I have a unique perspective, a unique qualification on what is best for our students, what is best for our teachers, and what's best for our staff. And that's why I'm running for Katy ISD School.
Thank you very much. Please hold your applause. Ms. Cicely Taylor, you have 1 minute whenever you're ready.
Good evening. Thank you all. Thanks to everyone who came out today, this evening. I know your schedules are very busy. My name is Cicely Taylor. I'm running for position number 3 for the Katy ISD Board of Trustees. I have over 25 years of experience in education, starting out as a classroom teacher and then moving into leadership roles. And I've held just about everything from writing curriculum to professional development to eventually moving on to running an actual daycare center for our family and then moving into executive management for schools. I currently serve as Chief of Staff for an organization that's national that works with Head Start and early childhood spaces. And most importantly, I am a mom of 2 Katy ISD graduates. So I bring that experience of understanding what the needs are of a parent and how proud I am of the district that really helped to grow and raise my children along with my husband and I, as well as I understand what it's like to lead on an executive level for a large school system. I hope to bring those experiences to you, and I hope you see how those are great qualifications to be a Katy ISD Board of Trustee member.
Thank you very much. Position 4, Tiffany, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself whenever you're ready.
Good evening. My name is Tiffany Auzenne. That was for you, Jason. So I've been in Katy ISD for 6 years. My family relocated here to provide our children with one of the best districts that our state has to offer. I am a product of public education, so definitely I stand behind it. I was also on the 2023 Bond Advisory Committee, and because of that, I decided that, you know what, I want to step up. I want to step up a little bit more. So I was not scared from the Bond Advisory Committee. I decided to do more, and here I am today. I am a mother of 3 children, they're twins. Now that I'm thinking about it, sometimes that's very confusing. I don't know if you guys have multiples, but they're confusing. So I have twins in the 3rd grade and a 5th grader. And I'm just really excited to be here and tell you more about myself.
Thank you very much. Position 4, David Greene.
Hi everyone, my name is David Greene. I am originally I'm from Connecticut, but I got here to Texas as fast as I could. I am the executive director of a 501c4 nonprofit, and in my day job that pays the mortgage, I actually run a small company that works in the political sector, which will be of huge help on this board because right now that's one of those unique perspectives that we don't have enough of, in my opinion. I spend about 75% of my campaign actually, when I'm talking to folks, just telling them what the job of the trustee is versus what might be in the superintendent's bucket or other departments. And this is one of those really misunderstood roles. And so if we can do better for our community, whether that's advocating to our parents and our community or advocating for our teachers, that's what I'm here for. Once again, I'm David Greene. I look forward to this day.
Thank you, Mr. Greene. Once again, position 4, Jim Davidson. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Good evening. My name is Jim Davidson. I am running for position 4. I'd like to thank the Katy Area Chamber for hosting this evening. Professionally, I'm a partner in a global consulting firm and an operational leader. So I bring a unique perspective to the trustee position as I've seen this district from every angle. I've seen it as a Katy ISD graduate, I've seen it as the parent to 2 students, and I've seen it as the spouse to a 20-year district employee. I chose to run out of a passion for service, and I bring the professional and life experiences that give me the background and have prepared me to serve as a trustee and serve well. Particularly given the budget constraints with declined enrollment that we're seeing recently, my experience will matter. I'm running to represent every student, every parent, and every educator. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Moving on to position 5, Caleb Silverio. You have 1 minute whenever you're ready, sir.
Hello, my name is Caleb Silverio. I'm the Katy ISD Board of Trustees, position 5. I'm a recent graduate at Katy High School. I was a cross-country 2-time back-to-back state qualifier. I also was a part of HOSA, which is a health organization group at Katy High School, which I help serve blood. And currently, right now, I'm at Houston City College pursuing a government and public service major. And I'm also part of the Student Government Association. Also, I have 2 brothers currently right now in Katy ISD, one that is a freshman at Katy High School and one that is at Leonard Elementary right now. And the big thing for me is graduating in Katy ISD because it inspired me so much to come out here and give service out to the people that helped me in my career.
Thank you, Caleb. Next, Jesus, you have 1 minute whenever you're ready, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jesus Nieto, and I am running for Katy ISD School Board, position number 5. I have a degree in political science and minors in communications and public administration and policy. I've also been a community organizer for the past 5 years and a nonprofit leader supporting educators and students by helping them get to Austin and learn about the advocacy process when the state is talking about higher education and public schools. I'm also, most importantly, a son of a teacher. My mom has been teaching bilingual kindergarten for the past 20 plus years, which is one of the biggest reasons why I'm pursuing this role. I'm not going to sit idly by and watch education continue to crumble. I want to be a leader here locally that will support all of our educators, our students, and our greater community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus. And to round out position 5, Nathan Shipley sent in a few words for me to read. Those who didn't make it this evening were given the same opportunity, so I'm just going to speak briefly. It says, Nathan Shipley is running for position 5. I'm sorry to miss his form tonight, but I'm traveling for work this week. I'm a Katy ISD graduate and have 3 children who are currently enrolled across all levels of the district. I'm a homeowner, a taxpayer, like many of you. I'm running for a few simple reasons. I want to see our board focus on supporting all students and their outcomes, supporting our teachers and staff, and responsibly managing the funding and declining enrollment challenges our district is actively facing. I also want to keep national politics out of our local school district. I bring more than 20 years of experience in consumer analytics space, where I've consulted with major consumer goods companies on how to run their businesses using insights from big data. Data-driven decision-making is just as important in a school district, ensuring decisions are based on facts, not hunches. I've also spent the last 7 years serving on my MUD board of directors, managing large budgets, settling tax rates, and planning for long-term capital improvements. This is directly relatable experience to the business side of helping oversee a school district with a $1.4 billion budget. I hope to earn your vote. You can find me on Facebook. That rounds out all of our introductions. If you could, please give these folks a round of applause. All right, let's get it kicked off with question number 1. Mr. Hesterly, didn't you ask to be first? Sure. All right, here we go. Here's the narrative. We talked about this. Here's the narrative before the question. If you need me to repeat it, please let me know. In Texas public education, the phrases team of 8 is widely used in trustee development and board superintendent training to describe the 7 elected trustees and the superintendent functioning together as a leadership team. Texas guidance emphasizes that school boards and superintendents must function together as a governance leadership team focused on vision, accountability, advocacy, teamwork, and most importantly, student outcomes. We're going to continue to hear that all night. Student outcomes. The board serves as the district's governing body, shaping policy, setting direction, aligning resources, and supporting the superintendent's ability to actualize the district's vision on behalf of the community. With that being said, here's the question. What does the team of 8 concept mean to you? And how do you see the role of trustees working alongside the superintendent as a true governance team? Position number 3, Mr. Hesterly. Do you need to repeat the question, sir? Would you like for me to? What does the team of 8 concept mean to you? And how do you see the role of trustees working alongside the superintendent as a governance team? You have 2 minutes, and whenever you're ready, sir.
So what does the team of 8 mean to me? And when we work together, how can we actualize the superintendent's goal? The team of 8, working together as a team. That is the fundamental truth of being a school teacher. You're not by yourself. You're not an island to yourself. You do not shoulder the world responsibilities alone. You have other team members that you have to work with, that you need to work with to keep your sanity. And that's the same thing with what it means to me for a team of 8. That these, ladies and gentlemen, are the people that I will have to shoulder the burden of running the district with. We're going to have to hear each other, not talk over each other. We have to listen to each other, not yell at each other. And sometimes we'll come to disagreements. It's natural. People will always disagree. But to be an adult, to be a mature individual, you have to be able to compromise. You have to see what the other side has to say. And then, do the hardest thing imaginable. Communicate your own feelings as well. Communication is the key to everything. It's the key to life. If you cannot communicate well, you cannot share your ideas well, who will listen to you? Who will take up your cause? Who will fight for you? And that's what it means for me to be a part of this team of 8. Is to be able to communicate my ideas, to listen to other ideas, and to bring them together so we can come and make a functional governance of the school board.
Thank you, sir. Position number 3, Ms. Taylor, whenever you're ready, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Would you like for me to reread the question, or are you good?
I think
Okay, thank you. Whenever you're ready, ma'am.
Team of 8, it means that ideally we will be the most boringest board that Katie's had in quite a few years because we are functioning so well that we're able to have radical honesty with each other. We're able to share position and interest and really just have great debate that's respectful. And then we show up once the decision is made. We show up as a unified team. Without having a lot of outside influences and political interests and other ideology influencing decision making. A team of 8 means that we are there to support the superintendent, even if sometimes that support may seem kind of like tough love, but we are there to make sure that superintendent is successful so that in turn our schools, our teachers, our principals, our students are successful. Our families feel heard. Our communities feel that they can voice their opinions and it's being responded to. A team of 8 means that we are transparent, that we can have difficult conversations in public but still be respectful and talk to each other in a very civil manner, but still show the children who are watching always how adults can have difficult, hard decisions and make hard choices together, but they can do it in a manner where they're still respectful and civil to each other and eventually land on agreement. Even if, we don't 100%, that wasn't my idea, but you know what? You've convinced me enough that I'm going to stand up and I'm going to stand behind you and I'm going to help this initiative move along. That's what a team of 8 means. It means no pride, it means having humility, and it means being reminded of why you're here in the first place, and that's to be of service. That's what that means to me.
Thank you very much. That rounds out position 3. We're going to move on to position 4. First is going to be Tiffany. Do you need me to reread the question? Okay. What does the team of 8 concept mean to you? And how do you see the role of a trustee working alongside the superintendent as a true governance team? You have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. So, when I listen to this, a team of 8 to me means that no one operates unilaterally. A team of 8 means that we vote together. A team of 8 means there's no me. It's all about the team. So when I think about the team of 8, that doesn't necessarily mean we don't always agree. Something I like to tell my teams is conflict is okay if it's healthy, if it's respectful. So to me, the team of 8 means that we're all working together, every trustee, along with the superintendent. So when I think about the trustee and how they work with the superintendent and in true governance, what that means is the Board of Trustees basically sets the policy. This is what we'd like to see done. And then we also look at how well were the actions or the mandate that we gave the superintendent, how well was that done? And the superintendent, his job is to actually be the one that goes out handles the day-to-day. He handles the day-to-day. He makes sure that everything is operating and functioning as it's supposed to. And for me, when the team of 8 works well together, that's the superintendent ensuring the day-to-day is working well, the trustees ensuring that their goals are clearly outlined and that they can actually see how well the superintendent is doing. We are a super team of 8.
Thank you very much. Next, Mr. Greene, whenever you're ready, you have 2 minutes.
Sure. So, I mean, we're a team, right? That's, there's 7 trustees, and all 7 of us are going to be elected. We are, elected by, and we're accountable to the, hundreds of thousands of Katy ISD residents and stakeholders. We're also accountable to our teachers. It's an interesting circle. And the superintendent, he's accountable to us as a board of trustees. I actually had a conversation a few months ago with with one of the trustees, and this individual reminded me, it's not, yes, you're going to support, but ultimately you're the trustees. You as trustees are the superintendent's boss. So be a team, work together, and when there's disagreement, because there will be disagreement, you as the board of trustees are the boss, and you tell the superintendent what you need him to do. The other thing that as a team of 8 is it's important that we set the tone. We don't want to be arguing, we don't want to be sniping at each other, we definitely don't want to have a situation that we've experienced the last few years. And so having a strong team of 8 means that we are getting along, we're working together. We're not going to agree on everything, and we shouldn't agree on everything. But at the end of the day, as long as we're doing it for the right reasons, that's why we're there. And the last thing I want to just highlight is we all get training. Everyone on this stage got an email already saying, hey, whoever wins, you need to go ahead and set some time aside because you've got training happening at the beginning of May, you have training happening in July. So, and these trainings are going to be integrally important to the job and to being part of that team. And again, you aren't the only part of it. You are a one-person part of 8. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, Mr. Jim Davidson. Once again, this is for position number 4. Whenever you're ready, you have 2 minutes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So the team of 8, as has been explained, does include the 7 trustees and the superintendent. I view the team of 8, I'll describe it 2 ways. The first way is kind of the textbook answer. It helps to fulfill the 5th element of the framework for school board development, synergy and teamwork, the final element that ties the framework together. But I'll give you kind of my heart answer, which is the team of 8 is what helps to fulfill the ultimate mission, which is achieving quality student outcomes. So why is that important? And how does that work? So, think of any well-functioning team you can think of. It could be a sports team, it could be your team at the office. And what are the characteristics that make that team function well? As you have those in mind, once the team's functioning well, you need alignment, you need a common set of goals. All those things are accomplished in a team setting with the superintendent. Touching on disagreement. Is disagreement a sign of an unhealthy team? I would counter that no. In fact, disagreement is a sign of an extremely healthy team when it's done well. Disagreement when there is mutual respect shared amongst the team, there is the benefit given to one another that they assume good intent. I think that puts the team of 8 in the best position to serve the community, to foster the conversation, and give the conversation the most depth so that the community can understand how decisions were made. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That rounds out position number 4. And last but not least, Position number 5. Caleb, you're up first. Would you like for me to reread the question? What does the Team of 8 concept mean to you, and how do you see the role of trustees working alongside the superintendent as a true governance team? 2 minutes when you're ready.
So when I think of a team, I always think about whenever I was at Katy High School, I was a part of the football team freshman year. And I remember at the start of camp, everyone would have to come together and we have to work as a team. If there's no team, then we wouldn't be able to win games, get the discipline that we needed to do. So when I think of a trustee, I always think about teamwork, working with all the other trustees to make sure we're on top of our game, to make sure we're not putting politics into this. We need to put what's best for the children. At the end of the day, we're trying to serve our community and everyone in the district. Also, with the superintendent role, I want to make sure we hold the superintendent accountable. Because a lot of times, a lot of superintendents don't care for the district, or sometimes they just don't try as much. And what I want to make sure is that we're serving each student in the district. And the one thing about Katy ISD that's different, because my experience, I came from the northwest of I-10 of Katy ISD, which is very different if you went to Cinco Ranch. And I remember each time, there was always kids that would always make fun of me from being from northwest of I-10. And the one thing that I want to do was make a new leadership of being a young candidate and making sure we're holding everyone accountable. Because at the end of the day, this is not about politics. This is not about having anyone being a politician. This is about having a team. I want to make sure I'm able to support and bring my benefits into Katy ISD, leading a new generation.
Thank you. And next is Jesus for position number 5. Whenever you're ready, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you for the question. I actually really like this one because it reminds me of the time where I represented 15,000 students at the University of Houston Downtown as student body president. I had a team of 8. I had 4 college representatives and 4 executive members, and we were a very diverse group of people that came together to solve problems at the university level and advocate for students at the university level. So that's what I think about going into this role as a trustee, is having a diverse group of people come together, find the problems, or identify the problems and find solutions for those problems by supporting the superintendent in whatever way that we can, right? And honestly, I'm a true believer in, having diverse voices can equate to having the best policy outcomes. So, having this team of 8 will just mean that we're going to have some difficult conversations. However, at the end of the day, we're going to have each other's back because we're all in it for the right reason, which is ensuring that there's student success across the district, ensuring that teachers are that we have their backs, and ensuring that the community is heard as well. Thank you.
Great. That rounds out position 5. Will you please give a round of applause for these candidates? Thank you all. We're going to move on to question number 2. This is one sentence. This narrative is one sentence, but I need you to listen carefully because it's going to help you drastically with this question. Okay, so and I'll say this narrative twice. The Texas Framework for School Board Development defines effective governance, vision, structure, accountability, and continuous improvement. The Texas Framework for School Board Development defines effective governance, vision, structure, accountability, and continuous improvement. With that being said, here's the question. What do you know about the framework for school board development, and how will you use it to guide your effectiveness as a trustee? Ms. Taylor, you were first to answer the question. Would you like for me to repeat it? What do you know about the framework for school board development, and how will you use it to guide your effectiveness as a trustee?
It is my understanding that the framework is based on what the 5 responsibilities are of a trustee member. That is guiding the vision of the school district, is obviously hiring and managing the superintendent, is being the voice of the community, the people. That's the accountability part. And it is ensuring that academic outcomes and policies are being met. So as you think about what that means and what that means about being an effective trustee, it means that we are ensuring that we are accountable. We're holding the superintendents accountable to what the vision is for the district. We're ensuring that student outcomes are being met, either through a scorecard or through whatever means of tracking that we've decided. It means that we are ensuring that there is transparency and that the voice of the community and teachers are being heard, and we're providing outlets for that, and that we're also saying what we are hearing and how we're responding to that. It's also making sure that we have, that we're advising on the appropriate structure for the administration to pave the path so that they may be successful in terms of helping the district become not just good, but even greater than what they are today. So it's providing that support, it's advising, it's setting the policy, the guidance, so that our superintendent and his leadership team is best set up for success, so that our district can meet the mission that we set forward. Our students can be as successful as they possibly can because the teachers are set up with the things that they need to have, and that our community are being heard. That's what I believe that means.
Thank you very much. Next is going to be Sean Hesterly. You have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
May I repeat the question again?
No problem at all. What do you know about the framework for school board development, and how will you use it to guide your effectiveness as a trustee?
I'm not gonna lie, this is the first time I've heard of the framework, but hearing it reminds me of almost the Boy Scouts and their mottos and their slogans and what we use those for. You know, do a good turn daily, be prepared. These are the guides for what you need to be. And this sounds like the guide that every board member needs to follow. You need to have an effective governance, and every choice you make needs to reflect on that. Having vision, having structure, having improvement, continuous improvement, are all the guides that the school board needs to follow to be an effective board, to be an effective team of 8. And as I hear these, and I internalize these, and I think about these, every decision that I make as a board will reflect upon these, because these are the guides. These are the goalposts. This is what we will be able to follow to effectively tell the superintendent what our vision is. These are the things that we will follow when we're trying to improve our district, improve our teachers, the vision of academic excellence. These are signposts. These are the things the board will strive for. And it's what I will strive for. Just as I did Good Turn Daily, just as I was prepared, I got my Eagle Scout, I am going to be an effective governor. I am going to have vision. We will bring structure, and we will never stop improving.
Thank you. That rounds out position number 3. We're going to move along now to position number 4. Mr. Greene, you were first. Would you like me to reread the question?
I think I'm good. So we have I feel like this framework, it tells us how we're supposed to move forward. It tells us what we're supposed to do. Whether we are celebrating the good and doing the good, or maybe we've got to deal with something not so great, like maybe discipline or termination. This framework basically lets us know how to do the job of trustee. It makes it, I'm not going to say easy, because the job of trustee, from this side of the podium, looking up the board, I can tell you it does not look easy. I think it'll be a lot easier once, we're there. Sorry, I didn't say that too loudly. But at the end of the day, I think this framework is, when we follow it, when the trustees follow it well, and are faithful in adhering to it, I feel like we'll have a much better set of outcomes from the board, from our trustees. We will have more responsiveness to our community. We'll have more listening. will have more understanding, will have less reactionary responses from the dais, because this framework tells us what we should and should not do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, we're on position number 4. Mr. Davidson, whenever you're ready, you have 2 minutes. Would you like for me to reread the question?
No, thank you.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
Okay, thank you for the question. So, as a process-driven person, I will say that I am glad there is a framework. I'm grateful for it as an individual who is looking to serve as a trustee for the first time. Having a playbook and a framework to work off of does provide a level of comfort. So the framework exists fundamentally to fulfill a stated mission by the state of Texas. All Texas children should have access to a quality education that allows them to achieve their potential both now and in the future. And it goes on from there, but that's the fundamental concept. So you mentioned that it lays out into 5 different sections. It lays out visions and goals that the Board of Trustees are adopting at a local level. It establishes systems and processes that will accomplish those goals. The third one's one of my favorites. You measure progress, you report on progress, and you're accountable to that progress. And you evaluate yourselves not just as a team of 8, but on an individual level, annually. How are we doing? How am I doing as a trustee? How are we doing as a collective body? And identify improvements. Then advocacy and engagement. That's both at the local level, we're engaging with the community, we're communicating our vision and goals so that the community can see what direction the district is heading. And then we talked about that 5th element that ties it all together, synergy and teamwork. So how would that influence how I serve? Again, it would influence me knowing that there's a roadmap, that there's a process, and that right in the spirit of the framework is continual improvement and evaluation.
Thank you. That rounds out position number, no, it does not. Miss Tiffany Auzenne, you are going to round out position number 4. You are last but not least in position number 4. Once again, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Like, do I get extra 30 seconds for you?
No, ma'am, but I can reread the question for you.
I think I got it. I got it.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
All right, so what do I know about the framework? I know that it was one of the first things that I read when I first started. But since then, I've read a lot more. Moving on from that, when I think about the framework, it is essentially what we will use to govern the program. There are essentially the 5 pillars that you went over in that narrative: governance, vision, structure, accountability, and continuous improvement. Everything that we do should be based on those 5 things. How will I use it to guide effectiveness? I think that we have to have measurable outcomes based on those 5, what I would call pillars. And based on that, we would be able to determine how well we're carrying out with the framework that we've been provided.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. That rounds out position number 4. Moving on to position number 5. Jesus, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready, sir.
Could you actually repeat the question?
Absolutely. What do you know about the framework for school board development, and how will you use it to guide your effectiveness as a trustee?
Yeah, so I honestly think that the framework is such a very important part of this entire thing, right? We need to make sure as trustees that not only do we understand every word that's in there, but also ensuring that we're actually doing that work. So, making sure that we're holding each other accountable and making sure that we are working on those improvements, across the entire district. So, I believe that, I would use that framework to guide the work that I would do alongside my colleagues on the board. I would make sure that, I remind my colleagues that, we should be following this to a T. And that's what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you. And next is going to be Caleb. You have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
So how I see the framework, I think it's a very great concept that we have in the district. And what it means to me is really accountability, student outcome, and policy, and being held accountable. The one thing that a team needs to have is be accountable, hold each other accountable for every decision that's made, hold each other accountable for everything that is set in the policy. But the one thing I also care a lot about is about hearing our community, what the community has to say, their opinion, and making sure parents are being heard, because not a lot of people in the community are letting their voices be heard. And so the role of the trustee is I want to make sure we are following the guidelines of the framework and making sure we are making sure our community is being heard.
Great, thank you very much. Will you please, that will round out position number 5. Will you please give all of these candidates a round of applause? All right. Moving on to question number 3. This is one of my favorites. I like to often say from the boardroom to the classroom, you should have alignment. So here is your narrative. Alignment is not agreement. A lot of you spoke about that earlier. It is disciplined unity around priorities. Without alignment, systems stall. I'm going to say that again. Alignment is not an agreement. It's a disciplined unity around priorities. Without alignment, systems stall. So here's your question. What is your definition of alignment, and why is it critical for improving student outcomes? We're going to start with position number 5. Jesus, you're up first. Question is, what is your definition of alignment, and why is it critical for improving student outcomes? You have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
When I think of alignment, the first thing that comes to mind is making sure that everybody is on the same page, and that should be ensuring that we are working towards having student success across the entire district. So, if we're not doing that, then that would be a stall in the system that we're trying to work in, right? So, as trustee, I'll definitely make sure that we are always making sure that the conversation shifts to student success, because as we currently see, there's a handful of individual schools that might need some improvement. So we need to get those schools aligned with the rest of the district.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Once again, this is going to be for position number 5. And Caleb, you're up next. You have 2 minutes whenever you're ready. Do you need me to repeat the question? What is your definition of alignment? And why is it critical for improving student outcomes?
So the definition of alignment to me is making sure we're holding everyone accountable, making sure we're on top of our tasks as a trustee. So the one thing that I care a lot about if I was elected trustee is student outcome. And student outcome is very important because a lot of kids need the support, the guidance, and able to succeed once they get out of high school, once they graduate and go into either college, trade school, or local colleges. So when I think of alignment as a trustee, I would make sure we are talking about student priorities, making sure the kids are getting the right resources, the right academic curriculum, to make sure they're learning the right thing. And also a big issue that's going on right now is Miller. Miller needs to expand very much. And the one thing about Miller is that it helps a lot of kids. And I feel if we keep having the alignment and the guidance to help our kids succeed, then we'll for sure have a good board.
Thank you. That ends the position number 5 candidates answering the questions. So we're going to move on to candidate position number 4. And first, we're going to start with Mr. Jim Davidson. Would you like me to reread the question, sir? You have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
I'll paraphrase the question again. So alignment is not agreement. It's a disciplined unity around priorities. So what does alignment mean to me? Alignment means going back to the visions and the goals that are set at the trustee level. Do those goals, and is that same vision shared throughout every corner of the district? That is alignment. If the vision and goals are simply, on a vision board, if they're communicated to the community, but there's no real action at the classroom level, then priorities stall, and the student outcomes that are being sought and are being chased after stall. So what creates alignment? What creates alignment is a common mission. Alignment for alignment's sake doesn't inspire. But if you have a mission and you have goals and you have a vision that inspire your students, inspire your educators, inspire your community, and we all know what that is, step one, then you can achieve alignment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we're going to have Miss Tiffany. Whenever you're ready, you have 2 minutes. Would you like me to reread the question, or are you good?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Okay. When I think of alignment is essentially, I would say, the district's marching orders. What has been communicated from top to bottom consistently. It involves the goals being clearly communicated, as well as intended and expected outcomes. So when I think about that and why it's critical for student success, and so the systems don't stall, that just essentially means, are we communicating effectively? Are we not only communicating effectively, but is what we're asking being carried out throughout the district? And the only way to ensure that those things are being carried out is to measure it through reporting or like the key performance indicators. But it doesn't mean that everyone has to agree on what is carried out, but everyone must understand what they need to do and what the expectations are.
Thank you very much. Next, David, you have 2 minutes to answer the question. Do you need to repeat it, sir?
No, I'm good. So when it comes to alignment, TEA tells us what we've got to do. And then they tell us what we're required to have the superintendent do. It tells us what we're required to have the schools do. And that's the first part. We are making sure that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing. But then once we say, okay, now we know what we got to do, like, one of the other candidates said, it gives you the marching orders, gives you the instructions. But then you got to do it. And there's got to be ways to do that. And so part of that is with, doing a feedback loop, doing the educator advisories, but making sure that we are following all of the goals and the metrics and the goals that are set by the district to meet that, requirement from the TEA. We look at if you look at the annual performance reports that are on the Katy ISD website, you can see that some of our schools are doing great in aligning with what TEA is requiring of us, and other schools have a little bit more that they need to do. So, we've got to make sure that we are actively tailoring our approach to each school to make sure that we stay in alignment. It's not going to be the cookie cutter mold. It's not, every school gets the exact same thing and they've got to figure it out. No, it's approaching we know what we got to do. Now we're going to make sure that we get it done. And some schools are going to need a little bit more help. Some schools are going to need a little bit more attention, a little bit more guidance, a little bit more support and resources to be able to meet that alignment with TEA standards. Thank you.
Thank you. That rounds out position number 4. Now we're going to move on to position number 3. Ms. Taylor, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready. Do you need me to repeat the question?
Fine, thank you. To me, alignment means we are taking the mission and the vision off the wall and bringing it to the people and having crystal clear clarity on what it is that we're aiming towards, what our why is. And then from there, we are getting sourcing input to understand the strategy, how are we going to go about that? So if our why is we want to have all of our schools, we want to be A-rated, we want to be on the pathway to A, then we've got to figure out our strategy. What must be true in order to get there? And that requires input from all those involved in order to be on that pathway, to have that true alignment, so everyone understands what it is that they need to do to be part of being on that pathway to A. And then we need to be aligned on what do we need in order to do that. We need to have the right structure. What is the structure required? What are the supports that are needed? Maybe the north side of Katy, those schools that are currently D-rated, are going to need something a little bit different. They're going to need additional support so they can be on the pathway to A, because the clarity and the why is we're all trying to get to an A. So we need to think about what does that structure look like? And then what does it mean for the people, the stakeholders, the teachers, the principals who are directly involved? What is it that they need to be doing to ensure that we are all working collectively together? And then from there, how do we make sure we're all accountable, that we're all working towards that singular alignment? So you think about your vision, your strategy, structure, your people, and your process. That's when we have true alignment, where we are living the vision and we are going through the process to make sure that we have the right structures, the right supports, the people are involved, so that we have that true alignment, that true clarity across the board, that we're all working towards one thing. For me, that's what alignment is.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Sean Hesterly, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready, sir.
You gotta switch mics.
We're going to switch mics real quick.
The definition of alignment, like you said, it isn't agreement. Alignment is when you move closer to an ideal. You do this through debate. You do this through discourse. You do this through compromise. And you try to align with one thing that every school strives for: student success. We are going to be aligning for that one metric every time, because what is the goal of public education? The public education's goal is to educate students. And when the school board aligns to that ideal, that vision of educating students, then we can have action. And when we have action, then we can make the change. But you don't just do it one time. You will have to come back and revisit every time. You're going to have to come back, you're going to have to talk to your other board members, you're going to have to talk to your community, your teachers, you will have to talk to the students, and you will realign back to that one singular purpose: to educate. And that is the importance of alignment. That's why alignment isn't agreeing. Alignment is consensus, it's compromise, it's working together, isn't just saying yes.
Thank you. That rounds out position number 3. Will you please give all these candidates a round of applause? Thank you all. I'm going to do my best to make it through as many questions as we can, but it is getting later, so don't feel free to use all the time you need within your 2 minutes. But if you want to give some time back, that's okay too. We want to get as much as we can out for you in the crowd and for you trustee candidates. Excuse me. So, question number 4. Here's one of my favorites: advocacy and government relations. Here's the narrative. It's really quick and simple. Decisions made in Austin directly impact classrooms in Katy. Trustees must advocate as a unified governance voice. I used to say every legislative session, your box of creativity gets smaller and smaller, right? So here's the question. How will you approach advocacy at the state level to support Katy ISD. Position number 4, you're going to be first, and that's going to be Mr. Davidson. How will you approach advocacy at the state level to support Katy ISD? You have 2 minutes when you're ready.
All right, thank you, and thank you for the setup and the context there. So I think going back to a theme I've repeated a couple times now, and that's clarity of message. When you're advocating with anybody, but let's, of course, in this instance, let's put the state of Texas and our legislature. Picture your local representatives who are going into events, into places of business. If advocacy looks like an unorganized message that comes in fragments and it comes in bits and pieces, the advocacy isn't effective. So what I would propose an effective advocacy strategy to look like is Katy ISD has a story. We have a story of what's going well. We have a story of where there are challenges. And that story needs to weave into what it is we are requesting that the state do differently. And advocacy is nonpartisan. Certainly our state representatives serve primarily in they were elected in partisan elections, but public school systems are critical to every single person in this community, regardless of political affiliation. And so in advocacy, we are advocating on behalf of our students, our parents, and our educators and I know you asked for some time back, but
what you need.
Sure. So with student outcomes and student success at the very forefront, starting with that as our North Star, we build out an advocacy strategy for work.
Thank you. David, you're next. You have 2 minutes. Once again, if you needed 2 minutes, please use it. It's your time, so no stress.
So whenever I'm allowed to do it as a trustee, I will go up as a trustee and advocate. Anytime I have an opportunity to go and ask for more money for our students, you betcha I'm going to do it. If that's phone calls, if that's educating our residents, our seniors to say, hey, you're seniors now, we need you to, it's your weekend or it's your, when you get off work, when you get off school today before you go to work, make phone calls to the legislators and tell them what you're seeing. It's making sure that we are doing the best that we can to get as many people and as many voices as possible in front of the legislators that are making the decisions. There's a lot that trustees can do, but there's a lot more that we're not going to be able to do because of what Austin has decided. And I'm going to say this right here and right now. With that per student allotment being about $6,400, $6,500 per student versus a $10,000 voucher allotment, I will be making phone calls and to ask our legislators to create some parity there and say, listen, if our private school kids are worth $10K, our public school kids should be worth at least that much. And anybody that wants to carpool with me up to Austin when I go talk, all right, hop in the car, we'll talk. We'll jam out to some tunes.
Thank you. Next, Tiffany Auzenne. Whenever you're ready, you have 2 minutes.
So when I think about supporting advocacy at the state level, I think about one legislative voice. I'm a very creative individual, but before we go down to Austin, we all have to be on the same page about what the needs are for the district and how we advocate, and what we're going to make as our primary issue for the thing that we want to discuss when we go down there. I think another thing that I would advocate locally with fellow trustees, if they let me, I would say, because of that team of 8 thing, I would say, consider a local coalition of neighboring school districts and getting trustees together, and maybe we go down in a bus and we advocate for several things, not just for our district, but I mean, I think it's clear that we need more money, and the state's sitting on a surplus, and we're sitting on a deficit. So I definitely believe that I support going down with fellow trustees and advocating at the state level loudly, and if we can't make it down there because of the Texas weather, we make a phone call, lots of phone calls, and we advocate for our community to do the same with us.
Thank you. That rounds out position number 4. Moving on to position 3. Mr. Hesterly, would you like for me to restate the question?
Yes, I love it for you to do that.
Okay. How will you approach advocacy at the state level to support Katy ISD? You have 2 minutes when you're ready.
I recently had a chance to go and advocate for teachers at the last state legislature. I went with AFT, the local teachers union for Cyfair, and I got a chance to see what advocacy actually looks like. And the one thing that I pulled from there, one thing that stuck with me, is you have to have many voices saying the exact same thing. We are a team of 8. School board does have a voice, but we're not the only team of 8. Every decision in Austin doesn't just affect Katy. It affects HISD, it affects Cyfair, it affects Fort Bend, it affects even Austin ISD. If we come together, we're going to have more voices that they will listen to than just us. It's not just us that needs to speak up, it's community too. Email, call, be there. And they still will not listen to us, the constituents. Well, we are one of the largest districts in the state. Maybe we need new elected officials representing us.
Thank you. Next is Ms. Taylor for position 3. 2 minutes when you're ready.
So I sort of look at this at a multi-pronged approach. One, you must have clarity of message. That a free, joyful, academically excellent education should be a right for all children and for all families. So clear messaging. 2, we are stronger together. Yes, we are the 4th largest district in Texas, but there are other districts that are very similar to us, and we are all hurting. All districts across Texas are hurting right now. You are seeing cuts in terms of teachers, you're seeing rifts, you're seeing reductions in budgets. Everyone is hurting because of the policies that are currently happening in Austin. So we need to form coalition and work together. 3, our superintendents need to be part of a professional learning community of other superintendents so that they're learning from each other and singing in one song and one voice in terms of how we can improve conditions for our schools and for our students. And 4th, we have got to leverage some of the strongest voices, and that comes from our families, it comes from our students, and it comes from our community members who are their taxpayers. We have got to bring them in and really explain the why for the importance of them coming to Austin and advocating on behalf of higher average daily allotment amounts, of better policies towards public schools, so we can set up our schools to be successful and not be currently in the situation they are in today. So it's multi-pronged, but it has to first start with that clarity of message and then working together versus working independently.
Thank you. That ends position number 3. We're going to move along to position number 5. Who do we have here? Jesus, whenever you're ready.
Yes, I love this question. You all don't know how many hours I spent in Austin going and advocating for public education. But, you know, as a trustee, I definitely would want to build a vision before I head into Austin. And what I mean by that is not just talk amongst the board members, but have a community listening circle of what are some of the problems they are seeing and what are some of the problems that teachers might be facing or community members might be facing. And then we build a plan and a vision that we go to Austin with. And that also means bringing community, bringing our partnering up with some of our local businesses, partnering up with our local nonprofits, partnering up with students, educators, our PTA leaders. And once we get there, we share our stories. We share why it is so important for our state legislature to allocate some of those funds back here locally. Because I think that's one of the biggest pieces to this entire puzzle is making sure that they understand, when I say they, the decision makers, the legislators, they understand that it's crucial for our public school system to get funded, and we just have to continue to advocate every single time that Austin is open, because if we don't, we're going to continue to see public school funding decline, and it's going to be really bad. So,
Thank you. And to round out position number 5, Caleb, whenever you're ready, you have 2 minutes.
So if I'm a trustee, the way I would advocate in Austin is I would start from the start if I'm elected. The first thing I would do is get in contact with every representative, no matter it's from 132, 135. I'm going to make sure I'm on them all the time about our funding and their policies that they pass. And if I was to go to Austin right then and there in person, I would make sure I'm promoting for Katy ISD. The one thing that I love is to share a story of each student in Katy ISD, making sure we're getting the community all together. I would love to bring teachers, paraprofessionals, and even students to come learn an experience of how you could fight for student funding and how we can make sure we're holding each of the representatives accountable.
Thank you. That rounds out position number 5. Will you please give these candidates a round of applause? Thank you all for hanging in there. We're getting toward the end of the forum here, so we're going to try to get through 2 more questions, and we'll do the best that we can. But here is a really important question, I think, that is relative to today's time. I know it's relative because as a former trustee, I experienced this as well. So here's your narrative. Across Texas, school boards are operating in increasingly politicized environments. Community pressure, social media, and broader political narratives can influence decision making. However, trustees are not elected to govern through politics. They are elected to govern with purpose. High-performing boards stay anchored in student outcomes, long-term vision, and disciplined decision making, even when faced with external pressure. The next question may be one of the most important of the evening because it reflects the reality of governance in today's time. Here's your question. In an increasingly politicized environment, how will you lead beyond politics to ensure your decisions remain focused on student outcome, governance integrity, and the long-term success of Katy ISD? Position 5, Caleb, you're going to be first. I'm going to reread the question for you. In an increasingly politicized environment, how will you lead beyond politics to ensure your decisions remain focused on student outcome, governance integrity, and the long-term success of Katy ISD?
Politics have no place in our classroom at all. What we need to be worried about is making sure our students are succeeding, making sure kids are on the point to graduate, and making sure we're taking care of our teachers. The one thing that goes on online now is politics, and we do not need to be worried about that. What we need to worry about is making sure our students are getting the right material, the right resource that they need to graduate. And if you're trying to bring a political agenda to this board, then this is not the place for you. And the one thing about me is that is not what I'm trying to do. The one thing about me coming from the northwest of I-10, I want to make sure students are able to succeed, whether it's through sports, extracurricular, or just academics. And at the end of the day, Katy ISD means a lot to me. It's home to me. And I want to make sure these kids are not being politicized at all, and making sure we're taking care of them.
Thank you, Caleb. Candidate for position 5. Jesus is going to round out our position 5. Whenever you're ready, you have 2 minutes.
repeat the question.
Absolutely. In an increasingly politicized environment, how will you lead beyond politics to ensure your decisions remain focused on student outcomes, governance integrity, and the long-term success of Katy ISD?
Yeah, I mean, over the past few years, we've seen a lot of harm, across our state, not just our state, but across the country, right? And, since day one, been committed to pursuing this role, to stand firm with our educators, support our students, and ensure that our broader community is heard at the district level. So as a trustee, I just want to make sure that we are moving away from some of the things that have kind of distracted us here locally in our district and really shift the narrative back to ensuring that students are succeeding, and that means all students across the entire district, and definitely making sure that our teachers feel empowered to be involved and come forward and speak up, so that if there are problems across our district in relation to our teachers, that we are listening to them and we're solving those problems that they're facing. So I think that we just need to move away from that and just get back to working towards finding our proactive solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus, for rounding out position number 5. Next is position 3. Mr. Hesterly, would you like for me to reread the question? In an increasingly politicized environment, how will you lead beyond politics to ensure your decisions remain focused on student outcome, governance integrity, and the long-term success of Katy ISD?
There's no politics in the classroom. There will be no politics in the boardroom. That's it. I will lead just on one simple premise: to educate all students of Katy ISD. Such as I educate all students in my classroom, all students need education. And teachers need dignity. And we need to bring achievement back to academics. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor, with position number 3. Would you like for me to reread the question?
No, thank you. I'm fine. As I think about politics, there is no space and there is no room for that. Our responsibility, regardless of who voted us in, is to all children, to all families, regardless of political backgrounds, religious backgrounds, ideological backgrounds. Our responsibility is to ensure that all children have what they need to become their best selves, to achieve the skills, the education, to fulfill whatever their infinite potential is. Our responsibility is to ensure that our teachers are supported, that have what they need to teach at the highest level, to ensure that those students are reaching the highest possible level of excellence. And how do we go about doing that? We need to make sure that we're always talking about student outcomes, that we are tracking every conversation to how this is supporting students, how this is supporting teachers, and make sure that we have that alignment that we talked about earlier, and that it's connected to what our vision is within our district. So, yes, no space for politics. All means all, and we have to make sure that we are directly focused on ensuring that our students have what they need, our teachers have what they need, and that we are all tracking towards making sure that our district can be run in the best way possible.
Thank you for ending position number 3, candidates. Moving on to position number 4, Mr. Greene, would you like for me to reread the question?
No, I'm good. So we're talking about how would I, well, I think the first thing to remember is one of the first jobs of the new board. So we're getting elected on May 2nd, and then, we have the, that first board meeting, just about a week later, and one of the first tasks that we get to do after we get sworn in is select who the board's president is going to be for the next year. And, I think Trustee Redmond has done a really good job already at tamping down the politicalness. That's not the word I'm looking for, but my mouth can't seem to form it today. He's already done a really good job of tamping that down. So I think one of the first things to do would be to vote to reappoint him as president. of the board, but then after that, to actually follow his lead as president. Because like I said, he's done a great job, so let's use him as the model.
Thank you. Ms. Auzenne, you have 2 minutes. Would you like me to repeat the question?
That's okay.
I'm trying.
It's his accent. There's many different ways
We'll
to
blame
get
it
on
on
the accent.
But no disrespect.
No, I'm none taken. Okay, I'm ready. Okay, I will lead beyond politics by first just being myself. I have to be honest with you all. When I decided that I was going to run for trustee, I was like, oh, this is great. It's nonpartisan. It's going to be great. Yeah, so there's a little, not a little, a lot, depending on whose door I knock on. I do hear different things, but I think the most important thing is if I'm leading and we're discussing governance, what does that mean? That means the role of a trustee is to ensure we have good and clear oversight. That means we work together. That means as a team. That means our ultimate goal is success. Teachers. Okay, I'm sorry, my mic is... the next thing is integrity. Integrity is huge for me. As someone who has worked in compliance, risk, and governance for a majority of my career, it's important to be honest, trustworthy, truthful, and especially with your colleagues, your trustees. Also, long-term success, what does that look like? I think, there was an article where they said that our board at one time wasn't achieving the student outcomes that we could because we spent so much time talking about political-driven topics. And I think that in order to ensure the success of all of our students, we have to ensure that we stay on target with the framework and we put all of our students first as well as our teachers, and then we just create real synergy and we work together, we trust each other, we build relationships, and we do whatever we have to do to ensure that our students succeed.
Thank you, Tiffany. Last but not least, we have Jim Davidson. You have 2 minutes. Would you like for me to repeat the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So leading beyond politics, I am committed to leading with a certain heart. I am running a nonpartisan race because I believe partisan politics, they're subject to the winds of change. They're subject to the winds of change, and the job of a school board trustee and the school board trustee body is to set in motion plans that are going to be sustainable over the long term and lead to what the core mission of any public school system is, and that's that's ultimately graduating successful young adults who are ready to contribute to community and lead successful lives. I feel as though when personal politics start to get inserted, the trustee is inserting themselves into the place of those that they're there to serve. We have incredible students. If you attend any of our Katy ISD events, our board meetings where individual students or organizations are being recognized, you see the talented young people that are in our district. And you hear their accolades, you see their success. And I want our board to reflect those same values: integrity, humility, respect, the ability to disagree respectfully. Those are the things that we expect of our students, and those are the things that we ought to expect of ourselves. Because ultimately, we're not leading for 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, however long we may be on the school board. We're setting up students who are entering kindergarten and are going to graduate and be successful as 18-year-olds.
Thank you very much. That rounds out position number 4. Will you please give these candidates a round of applause? So I have one question left, but I need all of you, if you may humor me, because I want to get through this question. I think it's very, very important because it's real life. Will you all agree to have a 1 minute answer so that we can complete the last question?
Yes.
Are we good? Is everyone good with that? Great, here we go. So, this is also near and dear to my heart. And then here's some news that came out today, right? So, 86% of school districts in the state of Texas have adopted a deficit budget. 86%, okay? Cyfair ISD, which is the third largest district in the state of Texas, and Katy's the fourth, is projecting a $74 million budget shortfall for the 26-27 school year, driven by a steep decline in student enrollment, increased local homestead. This news came out today, and so I want to start that with a little bit of context when we talk about the importance of finance when it comes to fiscal stewardship and student outcomes. Here we go. How will you, I'm trying to do the best I can to frame this for you guys. So every financial decision reflects a priority, right? Or it should. Governance ensures resources align to your student success, right? So here's the question. How will you balance fiscal responsibility with maintaining high student outcomes? Once again, how will you balance fiscal responsibility with maintaining high student outcomes? Right? We all want the best of the best. We want to do the best we can. Mr. Davidson, position number 4. You were first. Would you like for me to repeat that question? Yes, please. How will you balance fiscal responsibility with maintaining high student outcomes? You have 1 minute whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. Let me start off by saying that our taxpayer dollars are used for lots of different things. All over the state, used for valuable things. But it would be tough to argue that the return on investment for our taxpayer dollar isn't higher than investing in our children and setting them up, with a high quality education that will be with them for a lifetime. So balancing fiscal responsibility with student outcomes. I'm still coming up to speed on Katy ISD's budget, but I've paid attention close enough to understand that we budget conservatively. We set ourselves up with conservative budgets, and it seems like year in, year out, we find ways to identify efficiencies and ultimately come in under. So understanding that history of success, I think, is critical when you're prioritizing budgets. Obviously, identifying inefficiencies will be key. Thank you.
Thank you. This is position number 4 still. And then Tiffany, you're going to be next. But I want to make want you to be aware that Katy has actually delivered balanced budgets. All right, that's something we can be really proud of. Katy has delivered balanced budgets, so you were just asking for your context. You have 1 minute whenever you're ready. The question is, how will you balance fiscal responsibility with maintaining high student outcomes?
Yeah, this is a great question, but when I think about the balance of fiscal responsibility, and I just got my taxes we owe, I'm like, oh Lord, help us. But I think one of the things is we all moved to Katy for a reason, right? We love that our houses are retaining their value, but we don't necessarily like the bill that we pay. But when it comes to balance, I believe the thing that we could do is focus on teacher retention, because majority of our budget is going towards the payrolls. So if we retain those teachers and we focus on retention, then essentially we're not having to retrain teachers. And I think that we're losing close to 800 teachers a year. So I think that if we retain our teachers, we will see a higher student outcome as well. So that's what I would focus on to balance.
Thank you very much. Mr. Greene, would you like for me to repeat the question?
Nope, I'm good. So a couple months ago, I think it was a couple months ago, how about a little further than that, one of the trustees actually asked the question, when's the last time that we actually had a line-by-line efficiency review? And it's been a few years. So right off the bat, one of the first things that I think we can all do And that could be done even before we get on the board, is we can put that on the agenda with the current board, is to put that on, to start making that happen. Let's figure out where we can trim. We do a great job. I mean, I listened on Monday, we just found just under $10 million more that we didn't think we were gonna have. So that $29 million deficit that we thought we were gonna have, it's shrinking, and it's shrinking fast. So we're already doing a good job of keeping that balanced budget, and we're doing a good job of finding the inefficiencies where we are right now. But I feel like a coordinated, organized review would really help us right now.
Thank you for rounding out position number 4. We're going to move along to position 3. Ms. Taylor, would you like for me to repeat the question?
No, thank you, I'm fine. Working in the Head Start space, this is the story of our lives right now in terms of budgeting. I know that Katy ISD does a really good job of being as efficient as possible with their dollars. I understand that currently 4% of the budget is spent on district staffing, which is a very low amount. It's one of the lowest amounts of the districts in Texas. However, it's not the lowest. Siberia actually is 3%, so I'm curious as to what they're doing, where they're only spending 3% on their district offices, given that they're a little larger than Katy. You know, there's a thing called zero-based budgeting, which I was so excited to hear that our CFO is taking that approach with our district departments. And essentially it is, you blow out, normally with budgeting, you look at the budget that you were given historically and figure out, okay, what do you need more, what do you need less? This approach is you start from zero and you identify what do we actually need to support our schools, to support our district, to ensure that we're meeting our goals. And oftentimes that budget looks a lot different than what it was originally given to you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hesterly, would you like for me to repeat the question?
I got it this time. So as a classroom teacher, I can't tell you how many different initiatives, products, airbrain schemes have come my way and have never been used again. So that's why I like this idea that one of our other people here said, let's go line by line. Do we actually need this? Do we need the next newest, biggest, greatest, shiniest program out there? Or do what we have work? Because what makes education work? Is it the newest program out there? It's the newest idea of education, or is it the teacher in the classroom? If we can focus our budget on that, we will find the savings. And we will reap the rewards of our students graduating and going out there and making a living and being productive members of our society. That's how I handle this responsibility.
Thank you for rounding out position number 3. And last but not least, position 5. Caleb, whenever you're ready.
So with the budget falling short, the one thing I want to make sure is that we're valuing our tax dollar. We need to maintain what we need in our district with all campuses. And the one thing that I did agree with Cicely Taylor was support the zero budget review. The one thing I like about it is that we start from zero. We try to figure out what we could build up to find unnecessary spendings or just something that is non-essential that we do not need. But I do not want to touch the classrooms at all. Any materials or resources that students need. Also, I would want a better push or better enrollment forecasting to know how many students are we losing each year, how many staff are we leaving each year. So I want it to be a long-term plan that we could hold each other as trustees accountable. And also, I want no layoffs in classrooms or the teachers, and to make sure we focus on smart, cut, and partnership. At the end of the day, I want to fight for our students and making sure these students are getting the resources that they need, competing in sports, academics, all that.
All right. And last for position 5, Jesus, whenever you're ready, you have 1 minute, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, so, since day one, I've said I'm running because I want to support educators, paraprofessionals throughout the entire district. So, while it is important to keep a balanced budget, and I might agree with Ms. Taylor here with the zero-based balance. But what I would say is making sure that our student outcomes, they need to be prioritized. So that means supporting our educators, ensuring that the retention is there, because like my colleague in position 4 said, if they are not retained, then we're going to be spending a lot more money training new teachers. So I want to make sure that our educators are supported while maintaining the balanced budget.
Thank you, and that rounds out position number 5. Can we give these candidates a round of applause? Thank you. We are now at the end of our candidate form, and you have a 1-minute closing statement. We're going to go position 3, 4, and 5 in order. And so, Ms. Taylor, you have 1 minute. This is your closing statement. Use this to tell us about yourself and why we should vote for you. Whenever you're ready.
I want to reiterate my belief is that a free, joyful, academically excellent public school education is a right for all children, and we need to be fighting for that. This is mission-driven work. You may not know, this is my 3rd time running. I truly believe that I have something to offer to our district. This is my community, and I want to make it better, and I want to leverage the skills that I've learned in leadership and in education, and as a parent to do so. And my why, ultimately, is I want every family to have the same experience I had with my children. My son had academic challenges, my daughter had some social challenges, but I knew that they were supported in their schools, and there were professionals, counselors, coaches, teachers, school leaders who truly wrapped their arms around my children to make sure that they were able to achieve everything that they could possibly achieve, to achieve their academic possibility. So that's what I want for every family, and that's why I am running for the 3rd time for a school board of trustees for Katy. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hesterly, you have 1 minute closing statement, sir.
I am still in the classroom. Every decision the board makes, I see up close with my students how it affects the classroom. How it can energize students, how it can empower teachers if the decisions are good. But at the same time, I've seen the opposite. And one day, I was sitting down, this is why I decided to run. I was watching my little girl, she's only 2. We were just playing around, and I was watching her, thinking that she's going to be in public school one day. And I don't like the way it's going. And I need to change it. I'm just your average working American, trying to change something. Something for the better. Something for the future for my daughter.
Thank you. That is the final candidate for position number 3. We're going to move on to position number 4. Mr. Davidson. Is that right? That's what I have on first? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Tiffany. Hey. You have 1 minute closing.
Thank you. I didn't even pay for that. All right, thank you so much. I want to thank everyone in this room and everyone online. It has been a pleasure to be here with you all. But I forgot to mention my professional background. So my background is in governance, risk, and compliance. I've been working in banking for over 20 years, and I actually love it. Yes, I'm crazy enough to say that. One thing about me is I'm very intuitive. So when I ask questions, it's based on intuition. I'm methodical in my approach, and I'm doing this because I love my community, and I think that that's one thing that every one of us on this stage share. We love Katy ISD, and we love public education, and we want to ensure the success of our community. If you choose to vote for me for position 4, I will give it all I got. This is my first time, and I've had some falls, but I promise you, I am an expert in oversight, and I will bring that to that room, which is a little different from everyone else.
Thank you. Mr. Greene, you have 1 minute whenever you're ready, sir.
Hi everyone, David Greene here. I've been saying this my entire campaign, teachers first. I had a conversation with actually a teacher the other day, and she reminded me, well, you talk about teachers, but you don't talk about parents. My response was, well, I consider paraprofessionals to be teachers. And her reminder is, well, not everyone does. So let me say this clearly. Our paraprofessionals are teachers. And when I say teachers first, I mean that. Because without our teachers, we have nothing. Our students, we are required by law to teach them, which means we have to have our teachers. That means we have to take care of them. We have to identify every possible opportunity to provide every resource, every ounce of support that we can give them. Once again, David Greene. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Davidson, you have 1 minute whenever you're ready.
I'd like to also thank everyone for their time this evening. It shows a real interest in our school district, and I speak for myself. I really appreciate your time. So I am running as a parent of Katy ISD students. I'm running as the spouse of a Katy ISD staff member, and as someone who spent 4 years in this cafeteria myself. I bring a host of service experience, life experience, and professional experience that equip me to serve in a position that, quite frankly, is very complex and requires the type of business experience that I bring with me that is going to serve me well in the position. Last thing I'll say is we have over 96,000 students in this district, and you can't put them into any bucket. I am running to represent all 96,000 stories. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for rounding out position 4. And last but not least, position 5. Caleb, you have 1 minute when you're ready, sir.
So no one ever expected a 19-year-old to be on stage and running for the Katy ISD school board, and I know that as of right now. And the one thing that I love about running a campaign is hearing out our teachers and our paraprofessionals and everyone overall in Katy ISD. And the one unique story I had was whenever I was in cross country, I was going into my sophomore year, and I got hit by a car while I was running. And so I remember a couple of days later, the coaches, everyone, all of the staff was there for me. And I was suffering really bad during that time because running was all that I loved. And the coaches helped me so much to get me through this journey to be where I'm at today. And the one thing I want to be is a new role model to the district of Katy ISD. We don't have one trustee that came from Katy High School, not one that came from May Creek, or not one that came from Warren Range that I know of. And I want to be that next role model to a new generation of students.
Thank you. Jesus, position 5. You have 1 minute whenever you're ready.
So again, everybody, my name is Jesus Nieto, and I'm running for position 5. I'm doing this because I am a community advocate, community organizer, and a son of a teacher, and I really, really want somebody on the board that's gonna truly bring a different and unique perspective. This district has changed drastically over the last 5 years since COVID, and I believe that, while it might be great to have several board members that have been born and raised here, I think as this district is changing, we're going to need a different voice that is going to represent those new residents that are moving into our district. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm doing this, and to also just make sure that our teachers feel supported, because they have gone through so much in the last few years and they need a champion. Thank you.
Thank you for rounding out position 5. Will you please give all these candidates a round of applause? For some closing statements, I want to thank you again for being here. I want to thank the candidates for stepping up to serve. It takes guts, and as a taxpayer, I appreciate the service that you are stepping up to do. Public education is Texas, and Texas depends on strong governance. Leaders who can align, collaborate, and remain focused on what matters most, student outcomes. And thank you to this community. An informed and engaged public is essential to continued success of Katy ISD. With that being said, we encourage you to stay informed and to vote. The Board of Trustees election is May 2nd, 2026. But early voting starts next Monday, April the 20th, and it ends Tuesday, April the 28th. All right, so April 20th through the 28th with 1 day closed in between. Make sure you get out and vote. I hope you have a great evening, and the candidates, if you could, please, let's meet back here in the area around the stage where we met before. Thank you very much. Have a great night.